Welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay, the podcast where we dive into leadership, small business, and everything in between. I'm Lindsay, your host and the proud owner of White Peony Boutique, a space created to empower women, build confidence, and foster meaningful connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a mom, a friend, or someone just looking for a little inspiration, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Join me as we share stories, strategies, and a little bit of life's chaos while navigating what it truly means to level up in starting a business, relationship, and personal growth. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's level up together. I am so excited to have Miss Nichole Winter here, who is an absolute inspiration, not only to myself, but so many. As I tell anyone when I introduce you, she's an aura and a presence when she walks in the room. She's a travel agent, fitness lover, and lifestyle coach, a leader in our community, and amazing entrepreneur who has some pretty big dreams. All right. Well, welcome, Nichole. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh my gosh. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
It is going to be really difficult to fit in a conversation approximately, we'll see, 30, 45 minutes here. We're going to talk a little bit about self-care, leadership, lifestyle, and honestly, how it all connects. From jet setting to goal setting. Nichole, let me ask you, what inspired you to start your travel agency in the beginning?
It's kind of a silly story, actually. Go figure. I had a friend in my local community who was a travel agent. And, you got to ask to receive sometimes. And all I said to her was, can you tell me how to do this? I send way too many referrals to you, and I think I can do this. And that's really where the journey started. I had traveled before that and enjoyed traveling, nothing wild and crazy, but I had always been putting my toes into entrepreneurship. And I think I just saw an opportunity, not really realizing where it was going to go, though.
I will say, I love more than anything watching you on social media and your travel experiences. You do a really great job of showing behind the scenes. You've taken your family on some pretty incredible vacations and memories definitely made. What would you say is your favorite vacation thus far? I just got to know.
You can't ask a travel agent that.
Okay.
No, I don't know. There's such a long list. We took an extended stay to Hawaii with all the kids, and that always will be in my heart forever, probably because we put our schedules aside here and just really got to be fully present as a family for a long period of time.
I love that. One thing that when I also explain, you as a travel agent and how we connect and how I actually reached out to you to look at Hawaii options. And the reason that I would go with you as a travel agent, I love how active you are. I love that you're out for trying new things. I love your personality of just like living life. And so for me, that resonated with my children because you're a mom as well. And with my kids, if we're going to go on a trip like that, or to Mexico for my daughter's senior trip, we want to go and explore and do things and keep moving. And so I really, really enjoy watching all of your adventures.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now, one thing I've known you even before a travel agent is your fitness coaching, your lifestyle coaching. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that really came into about 3 years into my travel business, actually. And it was when my youngest went off to kindergarten. That's when I knew I was going to get into a routine of working out and starting to take care of myself after having 3 young kids at a young age. And I rolled with it and I made a commitment to the gym. I took the kids to school every day and went to the gym. And over a period of time, I felt better about myself, your confidence growing just by adding in that new habit. I somehow ended up in a network marketing company for quite a few years, but that's where I learned so much about personal development, growing, taking care of myself, inspiring others and encouraging others. And that's how it really took off for me.
Sure. Now, if there's one thing with all of this, I definitely look up to you as quite the leader in your personal life, but, professionally as well. You're a woman of many hats, that's for sure. Leadership is definitely, a walk of life for you.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about what leadership means to you and the heart that drives your leadership.
Oh gosh, leadership's such a big word for so many people.
It really is.
And sometimes it's icky for people, especially women, and we don't even want to think of ourselves as leaders, but we all are a leader in our own little way, right? And so I think my journey really started when I started to take care of myself. And when you show up for yourself and you start feeling better, you just naturally want to show up better for your family. And then it just expands, out of the home from there. So
love that. Nichole, how do you stay motivated and grounded in the chaos of business, motherhood? You're a new grandma. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And in everyday life.
Yeah. The key word here is motivated, right? A lot of times when we go to make a change, we think we need motivation for it. And really, we don't, because motivation's not always going to be there, right? So for me, early on, when I started making lifestyle changes and trying to become healthier in my life, I knew I needed to create a few little routines in my day. And why I needed to do that is because when I wasn't motivated, I had my routine in place and I could just go about and just do what I need to do and stick to that promise I made myself. So it was as small as just getting up a little bit earlier to take care of myself. And with time, that was my routine. And then guess what? I didn't have to look for motivation to make that happen. I just knew that was my routine throughout the day.
I love that. Okay, so talking about routine, and for some, including myself, when you say routine, it gets a little scary because as a perfectionist, I feel like your routine has to be like black or white, perfect, drill sergeant. That is not always the case, and every day could be a little bit different. I think it's important to step outside your comfort zone and be very intentional about what that looks like on a day-to-day. But tell me your tips or tricks on what that would be for you. What would your routine look like?
Yeah. So first of all, you may have heard this before, give yourself some grace. And when I hear that, sometimes I'm like, for real? But yes, give yourself some grace. Routine is not about perfection. It's about just helping you minimize the decisions you have to make through the day. And, we're both moms, right? So the minute we get a routine down, now they're back into summer vacation, or now they're going back to school, or your daughters are in a lot of sports, right? So now we have a new sport. For me, I'm also very seasonal in my work. I'm coming into a little bit more of a free time, where in January, the routine needs to be tight, right? So right away, recognizing the flexibility around your professional job and then your family and even just you. What would you flow better when it's like, I flow better in the summer when it's nice out and I'm like frozen in January. So, recognizing that, number one. Okay. And then what are your important things? What is it that keeps nudging at your heart that you want to even get in a routine? If you can just take one item, what's super important to you, and just practice that one item for a while, your routine will start to flow and it will get better. And then you can just add another item and add another item. So when I think about this, this was a long time ago when I really started to hone in on a routine, was I just wanted to get up, get my kids to school so I could go to work out because I wanted to create that habit. Sure. And it was noticing I needed to wake up 30 minutes earlier before my kids. Now, in the beginning, I didn't do this every day. I wasn't always consistent. Then you'd have a sick kid. You just give yourself grace. That's where you give yourself grace. And then you just keep plugging away and plugging away. And if Thursday all of a sudden you overslept, who cares? You wake up Friday and you do it again. And one thing leads to another. And then it leads to another.
That's very true. Okay, with everything, Nichole, with your many hats and your titles, self-care strategy, let's talk about it. Important. Routine is something you just talked about, obviously putting one foot in front of the other there. But tell me a little bit about your self-care strategy and what does that look like?
It's actually really simple.
I love simplicity.
Getting sleep, number one.
Oh, that has been a game changer.
Right?
It has been a game changer.
So you're sleeping?
I am, for the first time this last year in a lot of years. And I didn't know that was like
You're
a
whole
key.
new woman.
I'm a whole new woman.
You guys, I would rather get my sleep than get up early for a workout that I keep talking about, right? Mm-hmm. It is so important. And nobody wants a girl hangry, but we really don't want someone on a lack of sleep. So sleep is number one. Self-care for me, obviously daily movement. And then back when my kids were little, like I mentioned earlier, was getting up earlier for them. That was a big self-care. Now they're not home, so I get to have that time anyways. Bittersweet. And then eating well. Eating well. And I say eating well because there's no such thing as perfection. Everybody's definition for eating well is different, but I know my limit of what I put in comes out, meaning in the way of energy, being more peaceful in my mind during the day, right? But I know my balance when I want to enjoy treats too.
That has been a journey for myself this last year. Is I knew that if I wanted to level up on a personal level as a leader, as a mom, as a business owner, that I was like, okay, it isn't about counting calories. It isn't about, your gym routine every single day. It is different. And for me, I was like, okay, sleep. I turned to different ways, like how to make myself shut my brain off and like sleep. And movement was a big one for me, like you said as well. And just taking away the perfectionism in that is kind of crazy. It sounds crazy, but I told myself like grace with my routine. But my goodness, it's been, I think I felt the healthiest this last year that I have in so long, because it is the little things that make the biggest difference, but it isn't that cookie cutter.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a huge accomplishment. And there's something about, like I just heard you say, I give myself grace.
Yep.
That's when you're letting it be a lifestyle. That's when you're just letting it be who you are versus right away, because Thursday we screwed up and then Friday you don't, right? You know that you have found your zen.
Yes.
You called it earlier, right? You know you found your zen and your ebb and flow. And who cares what happened Thursday and Friday? You woke back up and you just kind of kept going. We're human.
I don't even talk right now about cheat days or anything like that. I know that if I decide I'm going to eat a certain something, it's going to make me tired or it's going to fuel my body. And I think honestly with my kiddos and being athletic and all of that, it's actually, I'm putting myself back to those days, some, in my mind, and it's more of feeling your soul rather than the outside marketing of what that looks like.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So
I think that's an age thing too.
let's dive into this further, actually. Yeah. What is something that helps you stay the course when it comes to self-care? You mentioned a little bit about this, but let's deep dive into that further.
Yeah.
And what works for you?
It's changing your story and the words that you tell yourself. So many times someone sets out on a goal, whether it be around their health or maybe a new habit or hobby that they want to create, and they look at it so temporarily. So they're like, oh, I'm going to the gym, or, oh, I'm trying to eat healthy, versus when you're talking to yourself and you're like, I love to be active. Just pondering that for a moment, right? That just shifts your energy in your body is in telling yourself you love to be active, and rather than saying, oh, I got to go to the gym, or I love to eat healthy.
When you said that, actually, when we were talking about this before, it got chills from head to toe, because when I've gone through this podcast journey, talking about different things, I have talked so much about honing into your strengths and honing into what fuels you. And I actually said, I love to be active. Like that was my number one thing. So when you said that, I was like, oh, okay. Changing your story or how this comes out of your mouth makes the world a difference. Because for me, I say, I love to be active. I truly love to get on my treadmill. However that looks and however that feels, getting fresh air outside. Or I always talk about, I love here in Minnesota, I love ice fishing. I love if I'm going to get outside, it's my excuse to get outside in the Minnesota winters. I love being in the sunshine. I need that natural, just breath of fresh air. But it was funny when you said, I love to be active. I was like, I did change that script for my own self this year.
That's beautiful. It makes you feel and realize that you're living that lifestyle already, even if you're working towards it, right? And again, it can be anything.
Absolutely. Talking about what fuels ourselves and changing that mindset or how you talk about things. How has prioritizing you made you better, not only in business, but in your relationships at home?
In many different ways, but I want to first start with saying I'm still learning this. I love to actually be a student in learning how to build my business, learn about my business and relationships. And I feel like the older I get, the more important that gets. Maybe it was because when I was younger, I was chasing 3 kids and didn't have time to think about it. And now I have a little bit more time. So I just want to say that I am a forever student in learning about my business and the relationships in my life, and both are a huge priority in my life. So I'm constantly learning. I'm working on my relationships. I'm working on my words. I'm a woman full of words, but using the right words, responding to things correctly, and everything else like that. And I think what led to that is when you're taking care of yourself and you're feeling better, you naturally want to do better. And then the relationships around you and your business, you just want to be better because you're feeling it already, but you want everything around you to do better too.
I love that. I think that's what makes you an incredible leader, personally and professionally. That's the leadership mentality that when I think of a leader, it is being very mindful and always looking to evolve and to level up, to learn. I think that's what makes you incredible.
Thank you so much. Self-awareness, that was a word I was thinking,
There we
is
go.
something that is a muscle that you can flex. And when you can be so self-aware about, like, I feel like sometimes I'm telling my team, I don't always have the right words. I do the wrong things, but please come and talk to me about it. You know, even with my adult children now, you can call mom out.
Yeah. I think it's important to call ourselves out every once in a while. Mindfulness is something I don't think, or self-awareness, it's tricky for some people. It really is. And I think while you're developing your leadership skills on a personal or professional level, whether you're a business owner or whether you're an individual starting a new career or at the highest level, it's like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I find myself every day being like, you know, how did that go? How'd that conversation go? Could I have said, you know, not honing in on perfectionism, but just looking to see where you could level up a little bit.
Reviewing where you could be better and improve, right?
Yep. The next topic we're going to talk about here is so near and dear to my heart. I've had to been reminded of this a few times with the chaos of life, but let's talk a little bit about building the life that you love. I think it is so important. What does that mean to you, Nichole, designing a lifestyle around your passions?
Just pure happiness. At the end of the day, when my family's together and they're happy and healthy, like, that just knows you're doing things right.
When I think of how active you are, and especially with the things that you do with your family, I just assume naturally that's where becoming a travel agent came from.
No.
Like, not at all.
I mean, I became a travel agent. Lauren was like 2. She's 20.
I suppose you're right.
So,
yeah.
And I wasn't in that healthy standpoint. I mean, I had 3 kids by the time I was 26 years old. It really fueled when I, you know, started taking care of myself. And then I knew I wanted to be the mom that did things with their kids.
Yes.
But also, let me say, I'm not the crazy adventurous mom either. Like, my husband will jump out of a plane with you. I want to go on a hike and keep my feet on the ground.
I think that's where we have a lot in common.
Yes, I'm active and I like to do things, but don't give me the wild things to do. When I zip line, you have to push me because I am not stepping off the platform, you know? So
we have a lot of similarities, I think, in common, because my husband would jump out of a plane. My oldest daughter would, but not me. And I don't know that I'll be able to watch her do that someday. So
yeah,
my
husband has. I'll have to show you what Dylan jumped off of in Asia the other week.
My husband jumped out of an airplane and tornado sirens were going off while we were there. They said this never happens. We never allow it to happen, but it's totally up to you because you've been waiting here all day, and they went for it. And literally midair, he's coming down and the skies are just dark. It's tornado sirens. It's like we got in our car. We had to pull into a gas station to let this pass because it got so wild, windy.
And he thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I about died. And you know what? My oldest daughter is just like him. And she wanted to skydive years ago. And I said, I don't know that your mom can even watch my beautiful, precious angel coming, dropping from the sky. I don't think I'm ready for that. But that's one thing that we have in common when I talk adventure. That's what I think of. I think of wanting to be a mom who I don't want to sit around. I want to create memories. I want to go on little big hikes. I want to swim randomly in the morning. I want to go on dinners that are different and unique. So that's the kind of adventuring. Safe adventure.
Yeah. So travel started first, and then I think that all came. But it's because the kids got older too. You don't do that stuff necessarily. We didn't anyways when they were really little.
Sure.
And then they grew up and
What does it really take to design a lifestyle around your passions?
It's something that's not exciting, actually. Not everything can be exciting, right? It's something that's not very fun. And it's the mundane activities. They're the things that you do day in and day out, but yet they move the needle forward. So if it's in your business, for me personally, it's like the back end spreadsheet kind of things I don't love, but I need to know and be ready for. But also, I seen this joke actually. I wanted to be a mom, but nobody told me I had to cook 3 meals for them and they need to eat like 82 snacks a day. And that's the mundane activities is figuring out what you're going to make, cook a meal day in and day out. But guess what? Like, that's what your kids remember. And that's what you just have to do to move the needle forward, to be a good mom. So fall in love with the mundane activities. If it's in your business or a goal that you're setting, not cooking for your children, but a goal, maybe it's measuring your progress, checking in every 30 days, putting it on your calendar, but just continue to remind yourself that the magic is in the most mundane activities.
I love mundane is a very powerful word to describe the everyday that we do kind of take for granted. Are there any challenges or turning points that shaped your mindset?
Yeah, there's actually probably like 3 big ones that really come to mind
Okay.
for me. Obviously, one that we've talked about was, a few years into my travel careers when I started taking care of myself. And that was a personal thing and just building my confidence. And then the second one is a very distinction that you're going to recognize was March of 2020. So the journey for a travel agent in March of 2020, and I would say for a good 2 years after that, was very different than most people in their businesses. We all
Very
had a
much
different
so.
hard, right?
Absolutely.
It was going through pretty much losing my business, canceling vacations, and losing my income right before my eyes, and then dealing with refunds and repercussions after that, learning all new rules around traveling. In the end, I kept telling myself throughout that process, if I do this right and I'm very intentional, I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow from this and I'm going to be better. I just need to get to that point.
You just need to get through it.
And that was kind of like what I kept reminding myself is, we're never promised good times. We are going to have challenges, and it's how you handle them. And
Absolutely.
I will say, now I am a way more passionate travel agent, and I was before, but I'm having fun, and there's just something in my heart and that just sparked differently. And sometimes when things are taken away from you, you have a greater appreciation.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't do my job the way I wanted to do my job for, 2 to 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So
There is definitely something to be said. Going through the hard times are what shape us.
Yep.
And you can look at it 2 different ways. You can grow from it, or you can let it stop you. You went through a very challenging time. A lot of people did, but coming out from it completely grateful.
I
love
was
that you say
excited
that.
when I said, I don't know, at one point I'm like, okay, I can finally say I'm grateful I went through that. The third turning point would be last year, my husband was in a very serious car accident, and it put just some things to halt in our life. And really looking back at that, man, I had to slow down. I'm a fast walker. I had to slow down. And I really had to lean into my faith to carry me and my family through that time. So it's interesting because when I look at all 3 of these that we're sharing right now, one is personal, one is professional, and then one is personal, but it led to such great faith.
That's powerful. Very powerful. I think for myself, last year was a turning pivotal point throughout my entire career, from the day I got my first job and through being executive, through leaving, through growing white peony. Last year was a really tough year for many reasons. Economically, there were different shifts in the world, yada, yada. And like I said, this is hard. There were hard days. There were tears. There were really good days. But I said, I know I'm being taught a lesson at the perfect timing, that I, too, leaned into my faith stronger than I ever have. I've set boundaries differently than I ever have in my entire life. I knew that I was going to come out ahead a much stronger individual than I ever had before. So honestly, I look at the lessons and I'm very grateful. And I love that you put it that way, because gratitude, if you can channel gratitude through the good times, obviously, but even through the really, really tough times, there's always a light.
It reminds you that through those tough times, when you're trying to just find a little bit of gratitude, that hard and joy can coexist.
I love that.
So you had a hard year like I did last year, but we had some very joyful moments too. I mean, I had some of my highest highs and lowest lows last year, right? And that can coexist. It feels weird sometimes, but if you didn't have those highs during those challenges, gosh, it would really be long. And I love that you turn to your faith too. And it's just a reminder that we are ultimately not in control. And we're kind of the same. I mean, being business owners and teams and families and everything, you just want to control the calendar and control everything. And it's not in our plan. The only thing we can control is how we respond to something.
I love that. You're right.
So you have your event, and how you respond to it is your outcome.
Absolutely. We have conversations with our team, and I have had so many conversations with event planning, with outside business owners, and sometimes at the end of the day, when things feel really, really hard, I say, pause. Okay, what can we control right now? There are things, even as a coach, I'm going to talk about this for just a hot second. Basketball coach, helping for my daughter's team. Oftentimes, even when I played, you get upset because a ref made a bad call, or some of the girls are so cute. Sixth grade basketball, they're not calling any fouls. However, what can you control? You can control being faster. You can control your attitude. You can control letting that get to you or moving forward. It's an everyday personal and professional life. I think it's very important to talk about more than anything what we can control. But also channeling our gratitude. Yeah. This is where it gets really fun. This is the rapid fire round. Let's just go through a couple of really quick questions. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
All right, Nichole, what is your dream destination you haven't visited yet?
That again, you're asking a travel agent these questions,
I should
right?
have asked. That's in another podcast episode. What not to do?
No, for sure, Italy. I only want to go there to eat all the food, but I want to get to every town and every area. And then number 2 would be the French Polynesian. I just planned a honeymoon to Bora Bora and Moorea.
Oh wow!
And when you plan it, then you're like, oh, I gotta go there. So that's
on
the
list.
Close list. Yeah.
Italy, actually, fun fact, I said, I didn't know this was in my future. Never dreamt of it, nothing. I was inspired by a friend going on a trip, looking through all her pictures and honing in on what I love and what fuels me. I said, when I turn 40, I'm going. So that would be next year. However, now my daughter is going to be a senior. So the traveling will be a little bit different. We're going to focus on her senior year and get through that. And then we might have to maybe the following year, but I'm going to Italy also, just so you know. So if you could hurry up and go, then give me all the travel tips, that'd be great. All right. Now, favorite form of movement during workout?
Well, if you know me, it's a weighted vest walk. Oh, you guys, I love to walk with my weighted vest.
Do you?
And let me say, I've been walking with mine for over 2 years. I've been walking with it for a long time. And I would prefer to be with a friend when I'm walking because it's dual action.
I love that. Yeah. It's actually not something like a weighted vest I would think of, but that is such an extra little, I love that.
I also just love to pick up some weights.
Okay, next, what is your go-to mindset mantra?
What you focus on, you find.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay. Mic drop. Next, what is your vision of a perfect day?
Well, I'm going to sleep till I wake up.
Oh.
And I mean it, no alarm going off, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I like that.
And then I'm going to have a nice hot cup of coffee. I get to read and just have a little bit of quiet time in the morning. Then I'm going for that weighted vest walk and getting in a workout. And then it's either 2 things. I am on the boat, on the lake with all my kids, or obviously I'm traveling.
I love We have a lot in common too, because fun fact, if I could be in the water every day of my life, I would. Yeah. And to have my kids, there's just something, and my closest friends know a few secrets about this with me, but I love water sports. I'm not a professional. I'm not really that good, but I think I'm going to keep trying to wakeboard until I'm
Well, no, we're going to invite you over this summer and we're going to go surfing behind the boat. It's a whole new fun thing.
And I never tried wake surfing.
Oh, girl, you're coming over.
And my daughter's like, Mom, we have to. So my husband's really big into fishing.
Yeah.
I'm all about the water sports. Let's try all of it.
We're not into the fishing. Everybody's like, oh, do you guys ice fish? No, we travel.
I love to travel. I love this. Okay, what is one thing you wish more women knew about themselves?
If there is a dream or an idea that you have and you push it off and it keeps popping up and you push it off and it keeps popping up, I want you to go after it.
I love that.
And here's why. Because you may not even achieve it, but it's going to be the person you become while going after it. And that's the key. And do it messy and do it scared and do it no matter what your friends say. Just, it doesn't come up for no reason.
Trust your intuition.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's so much outside noise. That is the most powerful message I think that you could give to anybody listening right now, because even with my own journey, I'm sure you can say the same. The comments, the judgments, the outside noise is what I call it. You literally just put one foot in front of the other. There was one thing that I always said with the boutique. I said, I'm not going to my grave until I own a store someday. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what the name was going to be like, but ultimately it kept getting brought up. And finally, at the time when I needed to hone in on me the most is when it came.
Yeah. Well, and it comes in the right time, right? We were just talking, we can't control things. So that idea or the reason or whatever you're wanting that keeps popping up, it's okay that it keeps popping up and all of a sudden it's going to be in right timing.
Yes.
And we're not going to control it. And when you made that decision, then you found the name White Peony Boutique. Like it just comes together. And not that it comes perfect.
Yes,
you work hard for it, but it will come. And can I just add to that too? And you're a very prime example of this because we were talking about this earlier, is when you're doing it messy and you're blocking out some of that outside noise, don't forget to go find the right noise. Go find the person that's already doing it. They're not competition. They're people that are paving the path for you. And if they are the right leader in town, they will answer your questions and help you figure it out and guide you and teach you. They're not competition. It's not jealousy. It's really people that are showing you that you can accomplish it too.
I love that. I think let's take that another step further. Mentor, find a mentor.
I think probably 75% of my career, I either had a hired mentor or coach or an accountability partner for a while. Like it's always shifting. Or maybe like I was in a goal group for a while. We named it the goal group. And then you go through a little downtime and then it's major books and podcasts. You guys, those are like nearly free. Well, podcasts. This is a podcast. You're learning.
You're leaning
podcast,
into that,
books,
though.
you're leaning
Absolutely.
into it. And what happens is if you don't have the right circle to support you and you have that outside noise, but you're plugging yourself into podcasts and books and hiring yourself a coach when you feel like you can take that investment. And don't forget even having your own therapist and having a mix of that and letting it flow. Those are your top 5 people that will help you get to those dreams. And then you don't have to worry about that outside noise and that'll start getting quieter. And let me tell you, podcasters can be your best friends when you're on that weighted vest walk.
Absolutely. On that weighted vest walk, surround yourself with the right people, the right people and the right tools. Absolutely. The question of the hour. What is next for Nichole?
Well, first and foremost, I've been a grandma for 2 weeks today. So grandma life a little bit, right?
So precious.
Yeah. He's going to be little for so long. So I'm going to take some time and enjoy him and support the kids where they need to be. And then this year, big from learning standpoint is communication, listening, and becoming more curious. It's been something I thought I was working on and realized, nope, I can be more serious at it. So I want to just continue to be a better communicator, listener, and a curious person. And that just kind of all evolves personally, and it helps personally and professionally. And then the last thing is probably going to be a bit of a coaching shift. So as you said at the beginning of the podcast, Lindsay, was that I'm a lifestyle coach. And a lot of my coaching in the past 13 years has been more on that health standpoint and achieving your goals personally and taking care of yourself. And over the last 2 years, it's been shifting more into leadership coaching, kind of behind the scenes. Nobody's really knowing, and it just happens. Leadership coaching, helping managers and directors within their position, in their communication and other tasks. And then, so leadership coaching, small business coaching, because I'm obsessed with business.
Yes.
And then the third piece of it is coaching travel agents. I created a program called Travelpreneur Summer School. So I'd love to expand on that. Been coaching some travel agencies and things like that. So we're going to make that little bit of shift here this year. And I say that kind of hesitantly.
Shift or a very, very big shift.
Well, it's putting it out into the universe, I guess, now, right?
I love it. It's scary, but it's going to be big and really, really awesome. When I literally look at like my top circle of who I look up to as leaders, you are definitely one of them. And I think
you are too kind.
I think it's going to be so incredible, your movement. I love it.
You're so sweet.
I love it. So if you had advice for anyone feeling stuck right now, anybody listening, it doesn't matter, leader, ownership, someone is feeling a little bit stuck, they want to get more out of life, what advice would you give them?
Take action on just one thing. So we all have peaks and valleys, but it's really up to you on how long you're going to stay in that valley. And not even stay in the valley because you may need to stay in the valley because of life circumstances, but it's how you're going to react to that valley, right? So just pick one thing and stay consistent at it for 30 days. It's so hard for so many of us, and I know this because I've been there, is staying consistent at something because, again, we get bored of that mundane activity. And action creates an energy for you to almost solve anything for the most part. So versus just focusing on that valley and going, oh, I'm so stuck. And again, change your story, right? It's all repetitive to an extent.
And last but not least, I would love, and I'm sure people are wondering how they can connect with you as a, travel agent, because there's nobody else I would trust. And we have plans in the works for coming up. How can you connect? How can our listeners connect with you as a travel agent, follow you for inspiration as a leader, as a mom? How can they find you?
Yeah, well, I probably hang out on Instagram most. And I'm Nichole Winter with an H, Nichole.
There we go.
So you can find me on Instagram. You could even find me on Facebook, but I think I'm a little more fun on Instagram. I don't know. And then you could also visit my website, which is also very simple. It's NicholeWinter.com. Again, Nichole. And then email me however you want to connect.
Questions.
Yeah, feedback, thoughts, anything. I would love to hear from all of your friends and followers, Lindsay.
I love it. All right. Well, this has been phenomenal. I knew that when Nichole and I sat down to talk, not only was it going to be an awesome conversation, we were limited here to a few topics, but let me tell you, we could probably go on for hours and hours because we have a lot of similarities as far as leadership, being moms, loving being active, not crazy wild adventures, but we love a good adventure. I love traveling. I wish I did it more. So I look up to following all of your fun. Ultimately, you bring such a passion for life. And I just want you to know that that does radiate every time you walk into a door. So thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And I know you value your time very, very strong. And I feel honored that you were here today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. And there's one thing I want to share is I absolutely appreciate what you do for our community. Lindsay is way more than a boutique. That's helping you look good in your outfits. You are already edifying, helping women just be comfortable in their skin, gain their confidence, and the way you collaborate with other people and other businesses and just let everybody feels included. Man, everybody wants to be in the cool club, and you radiate that. And I feel like I can say for the entire community, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that was the cutest little
love tap with our headset.
I love it.
Okay. Thank you for listening. If you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend. If you're looking for more information on the topics we covered, please head to the show notes below. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating and review, this would help this mission and our journey to get started. Let's make today and every day an opportunity to level up. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep striving, and keep making a difference.